Artanis is a renowned warrior. He comes from the StarCraft franchise and belongs to the Protoss race. In Heroes of the Storm, he is a strong melee warrior and at the moment is a must-have character. He's extremely good against other melee heroes. He is good against everything if he's able to use his basic attacks. But why? Well, Artanis' trait is called Shield Overload. This passive acts as a powerful defense mechanism. Every time Artanis is beneath 75% of his health, he gains a shield, a pretty strong shield, for 5 seconds. This is when the basic attacks are to be considered, because in the total of 24 seconds cooldown, every basic attack he inflicts lowers the cooldown of this trait by 4 seconds. Now, let's have a look at his 3 basic abilities. So, Blade Dash, his Q, has a 10-second cooldown and is generally used against enemy minion waves or to engage. So you dash forward, deal some damage, and return to the position where you were before. His W ability is called Twin Blades. It has a very low cooldown of 2 seconds, and it causes him to charge a short distance and strike the enemy twice. So I'd recommend you to use this ability all of the time, since it doesn't cost any mana and provides a damage output and a certain dash towards your enemies. His E ability is called Phase Prism and is a pretty fun one to use. So what happens is you throw a prism, and if it hits a hero, you swap your position with that hero. Of course, it has to be an enemy hero for it to work. Now, before I talk a bit about Artanis in the current meta, his builds and whatnot, remember to use the outrageous combo with Blade Dash and Phase Prism. This was added a month or 2 ago, so now you can use both basically at the same time, because when you dash forward with your Q, you can now use E at the same time. So that adds a lot of mobility, but it's very hard to pull off, and that's why he requires a high skill cap. So Artanis is an aggressive frontline warrior, and at times can be really difficult to kill. So in the current meta, I play him either as a tank or as a secondary assassin, if you will. You need a lot of communication with your team when you use your ability, so that you can change the positions of enemies and so that your assassins follow and get the kills. As it doesn't have a lot of crowd control, he's not very good against slows and stuns. Now, in terms of his strong points and his weaknesses, he can sustain a lot of damage. Remember that when he's underneath 75% of his full health, that if gone unnoticed can be devastating for the enemies. Both of his ultimates are pretty good, though we'll see them in a minute, and he doesn't have to replenish his mana because his mana consumption is pretty low compared to other heroes. But on the downside, I've got to be honest, there's not really that many weaknesses in Artanis. Apart from the fact that his trait only activates when he hasn't got a lot of health, and as I said before, that against crowd control he's a bit shit, well, he's a good warrior to take. He's a really good pick. Let's have a look at my builds. I've summed up a tank build that will be useful if, for example, you're the only warrior on your team in the comp, but if maybe there's another tank, you could use Artanis as a bruiser, secondary assassin, you see. So we're going to start off with the tank build. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on all of his survivability through his traits, and to limit how much damage he takes overall, So that's why at level 1 you take reactive parry that grants you 50 physical armor against the next enemy hero basic attack. At level 4 you then take shield surge to increase the size of your shield when your trait is activated. At level 7 you're going to take warp sickness, so you slow the hero caught in your E ability. At level 10 you can take either of them, because suppression pulse, the first ultimate, pretty large area, it has a big radius, you see. It damages a little bit and it blinds the enemies for 4 seconds. And it has unlimited range. The Purifier Beam is also a good ultimate to take. This focuses on one enemy hero in particular, as an orbital beam follows him for 8 seconds around the map. In this tank build, at level 13 you take Triple Strike, to follow up at level 16 on the W ability. We're gonna make the charge distance way more advantageous. So to finish it all off with this tank build, you're gonna take a level 20 Force of Will, which means every time you land a basic attack, instead of reducing the cooldown by 4 seconds, it's now reduced by 6. Here's a full recap of this build. I'll leave it on for a few seconds for you to see. Now then, let's have a little talk about my build. The one that I usually take. I don't use Artanis as a solo tank, but more as a bruiser, because he potentially can deal a lot of damage and at the same time sustain the damage being dealt onto him. That's why at level 1 the go-to talent is Seasoned Marksman. You can follow it up at level 4 with Shield Surge that we saw earlier, although at level 7 I do sometimes take follow through if we need some more melee damage. My build would usually take Purifier Beam. So level 13 I take Graviton Vortex, so you can pull now an additional person with your E ability, and the cooldown is also reduced by 5 seconds. At level 16 I take Titan Killer, and to cap it all off at level 20 I take Nexus Blades. Here's how the talent tree looks like. There you go, we've come to the end of my Artanis video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be trying to do more Heroes of the Storm videos. Like, share and subscribe if you like my content. I'm BorrowX, I'll see you in the next one guys. Peace out.